Hello, hello. Welcome to the space between ideas. I'm playing Gates. Wow. So last night I was doing this thing forever. I don't know what happened. I went for my dog walk. My dog took my dog for a walk, and yeah, I think I started working on it before that. So I made. Did I make two videos yesterday? I think I made two videos or zero videos. I can't remember how many videos I made. Anyways, so eventually I got to the point where I had to just get back into this problem because I'm still trying to solve this issue. And what issue might you might be asking? So the issue is what? So the thing that we've been really focused on recently, um, well, let me just share the whole screen and then I can show you my windsurf. Because inside of windsurf, we can actually see what's going on. So let's start with the whole screen. There we are. It is the whole screen. And let's check this. Maybe I'm going to turn it down a little bit just so we can make sure we got enough. Yeah, see, that always does this. It's so crazy, right? It's just turning black. All right, so let's try sharing the whole screen again. Okay, good. It worked this time. All right. So this is really a crash course in calibration documents. And right now, notice, well, I better just, I had to pay that extra bill to get my Gemini service back up. This is my Reply app. If you go to this website here, you can actually go through my app. This is the Replit version, and the thing is about Replit is I only got like $1.50 left in my Replit account. So I decided to retest the Windsurf, and now I'm actually curious about usage because yesterday, like I was doing this for like 4 hours last night. What? What? This is crazy. Okay, so this is the thing. I was working for like 4 hours last night. When I worked for 4 hours on Replit, like it was like gone. Everything was gone in like one day. Last night, I was working for at least 4 or 5 hours. I went to bed at like 4 a.m. My whole body was just like, it hurt. Like I'm an old man. I'm getting older, and like I can't sit in this chair for 4 hours. And it was terrible. But at the same time, it was beautiful. Actually, I'm surprised that because I don't remember what I was in with the tokens. But anyways, so that's good news. So we got still got 400 tokens. I just get the feeling like, if I did that same amount of work with Replit that I did last night, it would just be game over. All right, what happened? So the first time when we were using the free 3, so you can see here it's free. I'm using free 4 right now. When I was using free 3, we took the app from Replit, we put it into GitHub, and then we brought it back into Windsurf. So this is my Replit app. I made this with one prompt with Replit. And then I don't know, for some reason, just I made some little changes here and there, and then Replit was like, "Yeah, well, I'm gonna take all your money." And I was like, "What? Why are you taking all my money?" So I wasn't happy with the situation. So then with free three, if we start from the very top, with free three, what happened was I imported the project into Windsurf, and then I started trying to. Here it is. So here's my Replit project. We need to convert it to a Windsurf project. So I don't know. It did some work. I don't even know what it did or why it did it or if it did it well or not. I'm guessing that it knows what it's doing and it has some standard process for doing it. But at the same time, okay, so it looks like a Python-based web application. And then what do we want to do? I have no idea. Now, after I worked on this project for a really, really, really long time, and it was a complete failure. Now, once we got to the end of the failure with free 3, then I decided to update the calibration docs. So that's the current version. You can see that we got the version 2.3. With free 3, we're using version 1 point something. Anyway, so we updated to 2.3. Then I did something interesting. So I took like, for example, this is the product requirements doc. This is the system logic and architecture doc, and this is the operation manual and decisions log. If you're wondering what this is, it's basically rules. I'm telling I upload all these documents. So this is 6 pages, this is like a couple pages, 5 pages. This one is like, I don't know, 6 pages. So I'm uploading like 18, what is that? 17 pages to Google Gemini, like before we even get started. And then I use Free 3 to start to train Free 4, the new one. So with the new guy, he gets these new calibrated documents. After I calibrated these documents, then I actually put it into Windsurf, and I asked Windsurf to comment on these documents. Like, are these really good documents? Like, what do you think about these documents? So then now I got these like some notes about down here. So the analysis and commentary about what Windsurf thinks about these documents. See, right now, for some reason, the AI community, they're having a hard time getting the AIs to have like long-term memory and to work and have like and without hallucinating, being able to use the same context window for a long period of time. You might liken this idea to the concept of humans and sleep. So what happens with humans is if you want a human to do some work, they can do work basically all day long, and then at some point, if they don't sleep, then they die. So every human needs to sleep. And then when they're sleeping, I don't know what happens, but at some point they wake up the next morning and their brain has organized all the information from the previous day and they've incorporated it into the memory from all of the previous days before that. And then they start the day like fully calibrated for the day. And then as you start doing work, then your brain is able to access different work modules as you start to do things during the day. Then at the end of the day, your brain is going to like filter through some of the things. Like, for example, I'm learning French. And so at some point, my brain is going to be like, okay, so, you learned a lot of stuff in French today. When you go to sleep tonight, we're going to reinforce your calibration system. And your brain is going to like strengthen your ability in certain areas. Then you wake up the next morning. So that it's basically going to sleep. So every time you open up a new context window, if you don't have calibration documents, if you're not updating your calibration documents, then see what happens is when you hit the 1 million tokens, that it means that your AI instance, the window, the chat, you need to create a new chat. It means you're going to let the old one go to sleep. You're going to start a new one. And the question is, how do you transfer the knowledge from one to another? The answer is calibration documents. So I have these calibration documents over time, they change, they improve. And then every time I create a new AI instance, and in this case, I'm calling it free because we're talking about the free version of my website. I'm going to have a free version, a pro version, a team version. I'm currently building the free version and the pro version. It's taken forever, but anyways, it doesn't really matter if it takes forever. It's just keep moving because I've already been doing it for 10 years. I did 10 years of research in order to create this design, and now I have to put the design into a user experience and a user interface. And like I couldn't afford to hire somebody to do this. Also, some people they ask me like, why don't you just hire somebody to do this? And the issue is like because I don't actually know exactly everything that like I don't know everything. I don't know what it looks like actually. I have this current version where we have some form of the UI, but honestly, this user interface is not necessarily the final colors. These aren't necessarily the brand colors. This isn't necessarily the layout. These aren't necessarily the buttons. So right now we're actually working on the user experience. And in order to create stickiness for my product, then what I want is I have two different kinds of customers. One of my customers, they're not currently using some kind of project management tool right now. So what I'm talking about with product management tools, I'm talking about ClickUp. I think ClickUp, Asana, Jira, Money.com, they're all basically the same. It's not rocket scientist. You just have a list of tasks, and then you have the person who's supposed to do the task, and then you have the due date, and then you have the status. Now there are some little things like, oh wow, you click in progress, and now we have two different things. It's like okay, whatever. I mean, maybe it's special because you can like click. I don't know. You can click this board, and then what happens if let's say I move this over here, and then let's click back into the list, and then it moved it up. So there you go. So yeah, I mean, ClickUp is awesome. It's really they've done a really great job with how that works, like the user interface. And then you can actually look into a Gantt chart. It can show you like what, based on a timeline, what's supposed to happen first, what's supposed to happen second. They're really great features. Now, for some people, if they've never used one of these task management systems and they don't really need like a professional version, then I want to provide for them like a free version. Now, as you can see, currently it's like it's definitely broken. The issue that I was trying to solve, the first issue I was trying to solve was I don't know. So I'm just trying to improve my task list. And I was having problems when I clicked the add task, it wasn't the pop-up wasn't coming up. And then when I clicked the add task, it wasn't adding the task properly. This is actually like a recent change. So what happened last night was yesterday was with my free four. So with my newest version of my AI instance, my new architect, we actually failed a second time. And I was a little bit frustrated, so I was thinking maybe I'll just like I'm gonna re. I mean, it's fine. It's fine that you fail because what happens when you fail is then you ask the AI to do an upgrade of your calibration documents, and then you get your calibration documents upgraded. It's going to update your new AI instance. Then you're on your new AI instance, and then hopefully your next AI instance is more educated because it gets the it gets the experience from the previous AI instance. But then I remembered this one thing about like writing tests. Like, can I create some automated testing situation? So what I did was I talked to this AI instance and I said, hey, I said, can you let's go like imagine we could revert. Imagine we can revert into the past. And we could see, look at this. See, they added this button called revert, which is just genius. Finally, I was waiting for this feature for so long. So now what we can do is we can click revert and it will actually bring the software back to the condition at that time. So if we made a bunch of mistakes, we can actually go back into the past and we can. So I'm just going to reject. uh, We can go back to the past and it's going to change everything back to whatever it was at that time. So that's what we did. We went back. I asked it specifically. I said, "Cool, which is like specifically where do you want me to start over again?" I think it may have been somewhere around here. And then I said, okay, so oh no, this is what I'm talking about, like the calibration documents. This is when I was asking it to give me some thoughts about the calibration documents and what it thinks about my calibration documents and where I can improve with the calibration documents, which was actually a good thing because then it actually gives Windsurf access to my calibration documents. So now the Windsurf understands the project that I'm working on. Like, see, look, so system logic and architecture, it provides the exact technical blueprint I need to execute the vision and clearly it's good. So document is particularly valuable because it directly assesses and mitigates the primary reasons AI-driven development can fail. So that's what's happening. Because I failed so many times with this project already, then most of the stuff in the calibration documents is how not to fail. All right, so I had to revert back to somewhere around here. I'm not exactly sure where, but I'm sure we can find it. Your analysis of the calibration documents is excellent. Okay, that's not me talking, it's actually the AI talking. All right, so it did this, did some stuff. Now, so what I did was I went back. I don't know what work it's actually doing right now or why, but basically what happens is we went back and we reverted back to somewhere around here. And then when we got to here, then I asked it to write some tests. Here's the principle of prompt purity. The core edits to the main JS to implement the status cycling logic were successful. Your diagnosis of the Flask comment. Okay, I don't know what work this was doing back in the day. In addition to 3 calibration documents, are using one mission token, 1 million tokens. So I started asking about the context window, how Windsurf uses the context window. And it says it doesn't use it the same way. It says basically, you can just keep writing in this window as long as you want. You can basically write in here forever. And the more you write in here, we're going to constantly update. It's like basically, it's like, no, we don't use the same look. So these are excellent, very important questions for ensuring long-term collaboration. How I remember information. You touched on the key information of how it worked. Well, I do my best to track a conversation for critical information, like calibration documents, most reliable method is to save them in my persistent memory. I can do this using the special tool I have. Updating documents. I do not update my memories automatically. So you have to tell it to update the memories. Um, so I gave it some rules about what I wanted to do. Then we have the sprint plan. So this is interesting. So I had just a whole bunch of tool failures. And what I didn't really realize at the time, and what I know now is that when with my MCP, I got this one MCP in here, and the issue was actually that I didn't really understand what I had to do. Let's go to general. All right, now let's go into manage plugins. Okay, so this one is called file system. I was actually getting, we recommend that up to 50 tools are enabled. Okay. Anyway, so I wanted to configure the file system. What happened was it wasn't configured properly. So actually, I had a big problem with this because the thing is that with the file system, I had it I had the wrong file name. So the way that you configure this is it asks you to add your file name. So you got to go to your document, and then so this one's called Project Arrowhead. You have to copy this, and then you have to add it to the file system. So I had that one big issue. I had to solve that tool failure issue, and that was fine. So now we fixed that problem. That was a major issue that we overcame. Which I don't know. For me, it's like every issue is a major issue because I don't really have any idea what I'm doing. Now, this is another issue. So, see, I'm trying to scroll here, and it's really become unresponsive. And I think it's because this window is just way too long. Okay, so it's somewhere around here that um, Google Gemini. So I actually copied and pasted this entire. Here it is. So create test file structure. I actually copied and pasted the entire chat stream, and then I asked Gemini, like, where do we need to roll back to in order to fix this problem that we're trying to fix? It told me that I needed to go to this exact spot right here. So I came back to this spot. I clicked revert, and then I asked it, like, what is the exact sentence that you want me to add in here? And then it gave me the prompt. So I clicked revert, I clicked like confirm, and then this turned into a chat box. And then I added this chat from my free for uh, architect. And then it started working. And the thing is that, like, look at this. So once it decided to enter into this like testing phase, it was doing this for, like, at least 30 minutes. Like, I couldn't. I mean, it's not doing it right now. Okay, here, I think this is where it started. So here it is. So it's like, maybe it's this one. Execute this, execute that, execute this. Maybe it's this one. I don't remember. Yeah, I think it's this one. Check this out. So it's like, yeah, that failed. Okay, no, it didn't work. No, okay, that didn't work. Okay, oh no, it didn't work. Okay, and then you have to push continue after a certain amount of calls. I think after like 20 calls. And then it's like, okay, well, no, that didn't work either. And then, okay, nope, that didn't work either. And okay, let's try it again. And then we tried this one, and then we tried that one. You see, so before, when I didn't have automated tests, basically, like there was nothing to dig deeper and dig deeper and dig deeper and dig deeper and try this and try that and try this and try that. And then, so there was nothing that could actually like. See, look, so this proves that the model is being left in a hidden state after the first. So it's like it goes through like an actual testing process. Now it looks that the test suite continues to fail. Now, every time it fails, okay, look, the test is failing on the very first step again, which means my previous refactoring, while logically sound, introduced a new initial problem. So like the automated testing is way, way better because it goes through like I don't know, 20 iterations, 30 iterations, 40 iterations. I had to push continue twice. It was crazy. I was just sitting here and my back was starting to hurt, and my back was hurting even more, and my back was hurting even more. And eventually, so I started typing into Google Gemini. I'm like, it's been testing. I think it's in a doom loop because it's like literally been doing this for like 30 minutes, and it's tested it like so many times, and I pushed continue already 3 times, and I just have no idea. I'm starting to lose patience. And I just think, and then I started thinking about Replit, and I think, look, this bug has been one of the most persistent and unusual I have encountered. I've exhausted all standard debugging techniques, and the failure remains. The only logical conclusion is that there is a subtle environment-specific issue that is only present when the full page is rendered. And to finally solve this, I will employ, and it just keeps going. It just never stops. It's so crazy. Just never stops. So I think at this point, I'm like, I think there's something wrong with this, like this process. Because it's just, and I just figure it's using my tokens, right? Because I mean, I figure at the end of this, I push continue again. I figure at the end of this, most likely what's going to happen is I'm going to check my credits in Windsurf, and it's going to say like, you used 200 credits. Like, I was so worried about it because of my experience with Replit. Where Replit, after like 1 week, it used all my tokens. What? Excellent. The tests have passed. And then suddenly I remember I was sitting here and like I was typing something over into Gemini, and I was just like, yeah, I think this is like failing. So probably I think we're gonna have to revert back to the very beginning, and we got to learn from this experience. And I was just like, and then I looked at it and I was like, excellent. What? Excellent. The tests have passed, confirming that the bug is resolved. The root cause was a subtle interaction between two issues. Click interception, an invisible overlay, was blocking clicks meant for the add task button. Animation conflict, a conflict with the bootstrap's fade animation prevented the model from becoming visible even after the backdrop appeared. The solution was to apply 2 targeted fixes. Now that the functionality is restored, I will clean up the diagnostic code that was used during the debugging process. This involves removing blah, 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 blah. And then that's it. Your add task functionality is now working as expected. Let me know if you have any other tasks, if there's anything else I can help you with. That's true, and it's true. So what happened is once that finished, then I click add task, and then I just tap, 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 and then tap, 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 and then click add task, and it did it. and now it's not doing it. Well, it did it. So, well, right now I actually have a different problem. All right, so what's the next thing? So now it says, okay, so respond. Okay, it's the single sentence. What's the goal? What is the goal? So the okay, you want to refactor, add task functionality, replace legacy Boolean based tasks with a new text based status module and string. Okay, that's this thing. So it checked. It made this thing so you can click it and it just changes to the three different statuses. But the thing is that this also took a friggin' million years. So it starts doing it, and then it's like, well, I guess maybe it was something else. Anyways, at some point, there it goes. So now it's like, maybe it's this one. Okay, so to implement a feature that allows users to cycle through, yeah, it's a cycle through to do in progress and done. The backend logic, UI rendering. Okay, create the functionality, your intent and plan, execute. Connect the task list UI to the status cycling. It's very, very like like now because I had so many times where it failed. Now my new like the free four, this guy right here, he's like he cuts everything down into the smallest little pieces when he creates a plan. You have implemented the code that should allow a user to click a task's status badge to cycle it. We now write an automated test to prove that it works correctly. Your task responds to your plan. So then it creates the plan to write the test, and then it writes the test. And then this was like, I think this may have been even longer. I mean, the last one was what, 3 continues? So at this point, it's like 3 AM. I think it was around 3 AM or maybe around 2:45 AM. And now this is like 3 AM. And then now we're like coming up to 3:15 AM. And then we're getting up to 3:30 AM. And then we're like up to like 3:45 AM. And then we were like somewhere around 4 AM. And my back was just killing me. It's just dying. But the thing is, like, I just wanted to get through this task. I wanted to, all right, what happened here? This is the breakthrough we've been looking for. The error is this. The data is classic data integrity issue. My previous refactoring efforts must have left a corrupted or incomplete task object in your browser's local storage. When the page loads, it raises or renders a broken task, blah, blah, blah. It's like at this point, I'm just like, I couldn't even see straight. It was like 4:15 AM. I'm like, "What did it do it yet?" It's still like Sweet is still failing. I thought it was like it keeps saying there's a breakthrough. The navigation timeout is gone, but it's still not working. So I started to lose patience again, and I start writing. Here's another continue. This is not a victory, but it's progress. Yeah, sure, it's progress. And then it was terrible. It was really, really terrible, this whole experience. And I was starting to give up again. And then I was like, okay, so I don't know what to do here. So I can't see the website, the Windsurf preview. Can you start up the server? Okay, so now when I started up the server, this element, I thought that you were going to make sure that when I clicked the button action at the bottom task items wouldn't show the drop down behind the UI below it. All right, so this is where we want to revert to because this is where I had the problem. Now, why does it say elements? Okay, I'm going to confirm this to revert. Now, the thing is that they keep telling me you have to like just do your whole project in one chat window. But look, once the chat window gets so long, like I don't know what kind of software people are actually building. Are they just building one feature or are they doing like full projects like what I'm doing here? Because like It's gotten to the point where this thing is unresponsive, which means what? So it means that actually I need to create a calibration document for Windsurf because I want to create a new window. But when I get to the new window, I needed to have some understanding of the work that we have done previously because it's just the whole program right now is unresponsive. It's this chat window is too long. It's the same problem that I face when I'm working with Gemini. When you get to the 1 million context window, then we got an issue. All right, so here it is. So I asked it about this. I said, okay, I will focus on my final set of interactions regarding the drop-down menu bug. Thank you for providing the logs and the screenshot. This is exactly the kind of situation. Okay, so we're going to revert. Architect's analysis. The diagnosis was correct. Cancel its final thought process was a major breakthrough. It correctly identified the root cause of the UI bug, but the implementation was flawed. Prompt you should refer to is this one. Yeah, this is exactly the one that I want to refer to. Now that you know the precise root cause, we don't need to patch it with a new file. We can perform a more surgical, robust fix of problematic CSS rule directly. This architecturally cleaner and far less likely to have side effects. The new prompt. After you revert and delete the old conversation branch, please paste the following new prompt. This will guide the cascade to implement the correct, safer solution. Yeah, unfortunately, though, the software is dead. So everything's broken. Even my YouTube is having a problem. Okay, let's try it again. So we're going to click this page. We're going to click revert. We're going to click confirm. Died again. All right, so let's just you can reopen, close the window, keep waiting. Let's kind of I don't know, let's keep waiting. So the other thing we could do is we could just save. Uh, and then click confirm again. And then reopen this. I don't really care. I think that it'll be fine. Just read and see what happens. Just a bunch of extra stuff that they added during the testing process, like this fav icon. It's like, what is a fav icon? So it created a bunch of stuff during the testing process, and like, I don't know, it's not useful stuff. See, it's really slow right now. Well, this feels a lot faster. What? Yo, it didn't save it. What is this? Server is running, the browser is active. Okay, so it did actually revert. So it reverted and actually deleted all that stuff. Or it maybe it's in an earlier somewhere. I don't know where it is. I guess we're gonna find out. So I got a few things I want to do with Windsurf now. One thing is I want to create a Windsurf calibration document. So right now we have our state and continuity long-term for long-term projects. Let's click this. Uh, Jeez, it's like literally like dying. Dang. All right, so we need to do a cascade. Cascade calibration doc. Because I need a new window. The window is just like the window's too long. I think all of this has to do with the window. All right, so what we're gonna do is, um, all right, so let's just talk. All right, oops, can we do this? All right, okay, it's working, good. All right, so now the thing is that I'm using Windsurf, and as you know, we've been using Cascade, and we've done a lot of work, and you actually have a complete understanding of the entire chat window. Now that I realize that I've actually pasted not you not only have access to all of the chats because you were involved in the whole process of that chat, of every single chat and every single response, but then I also copied and pasted like the full chat again as an actual conversation. So you know every single thing that has happened in Cascade as we've been working together. Now there's this problem now that I'm having with Cascade that it like I think that the chat wall is too long, and so it's unresponsive, and it's also causing problems in the software. So the software, it's not happy that it has to read so many comments, and then it's making it slow, and it's like everything is getting clunky. So the thing is that I think I need to create a new AI instance inside of Cascade, which means that I have to create a new chat. The problem with creating a new chat is that just like in Google Gemini, it's going to not have access to the information of like what we have already done in the past chat. It's not going to have access to the plans and the work and everything that we've done. And so I need to, I don't know if it's going to actually work, but I need to create, first we need to create a new chat. And then the new chat is actually going to be very, very responsive. And so, and very, very fast. So we're going to go into the new chat and you're going to have a conversation with Cascade. You're going to ask it like, what's the best way to like create like what would a calibration document look like? Like for example, you know what a calibration document looks like because we have like a beginning of session protocol, and then after the beginning of session protocol, then we have three calibration documents. And then with that process, you were caught up with like all the main ideas about how we're going to be working together. And then as you remember, what we did was we used the previous architect and then we also used you, and we went back and forth and we asked like, what is your opinion about this? And what's your opinion about that? And over time, wow, it didn't do it. That's crazy. All right. So Right now, Cascade is unresponsive, and I think it's because the chat window is too long. And because, as you know, because I've pasted all of the chat windows into your current context, it means that you know everything that has happened between us and Cascade over the process of developing this app. So now what I need is for you to create a prompt for Cascade. And what you're going to do is it's going to be a new window. And in the new window, I want you to create a prompt, which basically is going to ask Cascade the best structure for structuring a calibration document. As you know, when we started working together, we used a what's going on? Like the whole computer is just having problems. Think slow. Drive me crazy. Like, do I need a new computer? Cause like, or do I need to shut off my computer, restart it, get everything back up from scratch? Right. So before I give you the answer from Cascade, I want you to draw on your experience from the information that you have gained from our experience using calibration documents. And I also want you to remember the comments that Cascade made when talking about the quality of our calibration documents and the system that we use when we create calibration documents and when we update calibration documents. So I want you to consider Cascade's response, which I'm going to paste and which you can look at, as incomplete. And I want you to ask more follow-up questions, give examples based on their response, and also your own experience with calibration documents, so that we can get a even more robust plan from Cascade. Seems to be going a little bit faster. Okay, let's see. I was falling into the trap we've been trying to escape. My proposal prompt was too generic. I'd asked Cascade for a plan without giving it a rich, painful, and available context of our shared experience. My role is not just to prompt, but to architect a prompt that guides the assistant to the best possible outcome. If I fail to do that, I will correct this now. I will use my previous incomplete prompt instead of. Okay, so instead of cascade open-ended, okay. All right, good. So now we're gonna paste this in here, and at the same time, all right, now we actually have to write the calibration doc. What is it? Writing it? This is a what? Appendix B. This is an appendix B. Okay, what's going on here? This is they're actually adding it. It wants to add it into the. Okay. Can you write a draft of the new calibration doc that will be used inside of Windsurf when a new cascade is new cascade chat is opened. We wanted to continue project. All right, so the thing is that free for is like way past the 1 million context window. I know that it's like 100% sure. And so I know that it's like lost some of its, it no longer has access to everything. I wanted to, where's this? Is this the doc? Okay. Here is a draft that I would use when opening a new cascade chat. When this chat becomes unresponsive, can you think about how to improve it so that the next chat window has is calibrated and will be able to continue the project without error based on the context shared solely in the document. It does seem to be moving a little bit faster, so maybe we don't need a new context window after all. But I am concerned. Why does it say fixing Puppeteer navigation timeout? This is because the whole thing's not loaded. Here is the date from Cascade. To what extent does it need further improvement? So maybe we don't actually need to update the context window because not the whole window is loaded. So it's treating it kind of like, I guess it's treating it like one of these documents over here. So the documents are just sitting there and we're not actually like accessing the documents. When it wants to access the document, it opens that document and it only that document. Problem I had, I think recently was that I didn't have I had the whole thing all like loaded up. If we continue to go up, it'll just keep loading and loading and loading and loading and loading. But if we keep loading, then it's possible that there's going to be an issue. This is crazy. Okay. Now I'm going to compare. What we want to do now is we want to compare the original work here with Gemini. We got the enhanced version. Your objective is to ingest this. Your task is to read the document. It's confirm calibration completeness. The test suite, next action, sprint, snapshot, the latest version of the sprint. I see the problem. Now, what did we actually paste into here? Okay, so your objective is to ingest this, read this document, confirm your calibration. Okay, why it's critical. Goal, current goal, the test suite is now passing. The project is stable, beginning to add new features. Okay, I don't know what to say. All right, I don't know what to do with this. So what I'm just gonna do is I'm just gonna put it in here, and I forget about it because I just don't really know what that even says. Okay. So one question I have is, so do we finish this? So all right, let's just get back to work. So I'm actually curious about what this thing actually looks like. Okay, so this is where I'm going to cry or not. All right, so did it roll? If it reverted back, then it's going to look like this. And that's still going to be hidden, exactly. Okay, so it definitely reverted back. You see, this is the issue I was trying to solve, was this UI issue. Okay, so it's basically doing what I wanted to do. Of course, there's some UI issues that I'm not happy about, but we're going to deal with that slowly over time. For example, like this is the name of the person, and then it's assigned, like there's some issues with where it's spaced. We also don't have the headings above. What is this? What is the implemented status data model? What is the status? Implement the status data model. Go. Oh. So what were we just doing this whole time? Gordon, what were we just doing? You were doing nothing. We were doing nothing? We were considering the possibility of so this is how it breaks it down into really, really teeny, tiny pieces. Formulate a plan to implement a new data model. What's the data model for the task status? The enhanced task list feature sprint. I don't even know what I'm talking about now. But anyways, why do I even care? Just let it do its thing. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So what I'm trying to do now is I want to have this so right now the current customer that I'm focusing on is this customer. Wait, can you even hear me? Let's see. Okay, good. So the current customer that I'm focusing on is the customer who does not currently use a project management software, which means like they don't know what this thing is called, like ClickUp. They don't have a ClickUp. And so what I need to do is on the free version, I want to make this like at least like good enough that people can use this task list. Now I had a lesson with one of my coachees yesterday, and what happened was he's actually building. He's got like a prototype for a robot. He's building a robot, like a house cleaning robot. And I asked him like, okay, so what's the vision? What are you doing? I could tell by the way he was speaking that he's from a family with money, and they like manage people, and then the people are the ones that do the work. So when you're dealing with a person like that, then the thing is like, what do you need to teach them? Like, how do we need to help them to expand their thinking? How can you help them succeed? And so I went directly into this. I said, listen, so when you're working, he said he hired two managers. One is about marketing and sales, and one is about the robot technology and improving the prototype. So I said, all right, so let's do this. Step number one. So every week, on Monday, you're going to do this. On Tuesday, you're going to do this. On Wednesday, you're going to do this. On Thursday, you're going to do this. On Friday, you're going to do this. This is just part of your new process. And I mean, it's going to take him a while to like really understand what I'm saying. Because he's still in university and he's doing some robotics degree. So his homework was basically number one is imitate. How are competitors, industry leaders, or even other successful entities in different fields doing it? What trends are emerging that could be relevant? So every Monday, when you meet with your managers, you want to spend 20 minutes or 30 minutes just talking about like what's going on. Who are your competitors? Who are the industry leaders? What are some successful entities in different fields? What kinds of best practices do they follow? What are some trends that are happening? Like, what is going on? So think about competitors, industry leaders, trends, successful approaches from other fields that could be relevant for your situation. Then on Tuesday, you're going to go to, it's not going to let me do it. Yeah. On Tuesday, then you're going to have a discussion about ideate. Okay, so now that you've examined, so in my class with this guy, then, we went through the first 5 steps. And I feel like this guy, what he needs to do is every single week, this is a perfect low-stakes example of our process working as intended. Cascade's intent is 100% correct, but its plan is based on a subtle but critical state drift error. The plan targets the add to task list function, the ground truth. If we approve this plan, the cascade would correctly read that, but it wasn't. Okay, so the path were. All right, so objective. What are we talking about? I have analyzed the failure of flawed plan. Will provide a new refined prompt correctly targets the task list. Okay. I'm not really focused so much on what these guys are actually talking about. But that's the whole point of calibration documents, is like what happens is they start to develop these protocols. And then once they have the right protocol, then it's like you can start to have hands off, because it's like starting it. So I think it lacks the context. I don't think it has full. I don't know. Actually, I don't really know what's happening. Anyway, so this guy, what's happening right now is like he's like the head of a company, and he's hired 2 guys, and he doesn't exactly know everything that's happening, and it's new. Everything's new. And at some point, he has to learn how to have these conversations about these 5 key areas. Like if we go down to we're talking about this direction. When your team destination is unclear, use the guided brainstorming and decision-making process to find clarity. So he needs like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, these 5 things every single week. On Monday, Tuesday, every single one of those days, every single week after week, we're going to have these conversations until you understand like the power of those 5 questions. Now, but I want him to come back to the app. How do I get people to come back to the app? So in this case, the way that I want to get him back to the app. So the way I'm going to get him back to the app is by having this task list. I have no idea what this is doing. Anyways, now that we have the rollback feature, and we have the automated testing, and we have the calibration documents, like basically what happens is you just push, you just move and move and move, and then something breaks, and then you're like, why did it break? And then, okay, now I actually have to figure out like see, look, now the file system. So before it was failing because I had it connected to the wrong file system, but now it's corrected to the right file system. So hopefully then I will replace the save task button. What's going on? I will execute the approval plan first. I'll read the content of the page JS to ensure I have the exact text for the replacement. Then I will replace the save task button. Why is it doing this? Maybe I better figure out what's going on. So actually, I think there's some misunderstanding right now. because I did revert back to a previous section of the work, and I don't know if we're in the same place. So I think that you should ask Cascade about its current understanding of the sprint. And then I also need you to think about where we are in the sprint. And we need to make sure that you and Cascade have the same sprint plan and that we're on the same page. I'm going to paste you the response from Cascade. Implement the static data. Okay, so that's talking about this. It's this thing. So they added this button that does this. Now what? Propose a plan to update the E to E test to verify the new status property. And then propose a plan to create the test as function clickable UI badge. Propose a plan. Now, so I'm going to ask Cascade if this is its understanding of the plan or if it's actually finished any of these steps and what we should be doing next. No, that's not true. Okay, so I still think that you're a little bit out of sync because I didn't revert back to the previous state before the 30-minute testing. I just reverted back to the point where, like, when I was talking about how there's a UI issue when I click the action button and then you can either edit or delete the task. So I was doing a little bit of work with Cascade to explain like that we need to improve that issue, and then it ended up making some mess. So I just reverted back to that point. So I'm gonna just paste your current plan, your sprint plan to Cascade. I'm gonna ask Cascade if it's correct, and then I'm gonna ask Cascade to give us its version of what it thinks the sprint is. And then I'm gonna paste that back for you. All right, so this is what the architect thinks is the current sprint. I think it is out of sync with you. Can you help us understand the work you've completed and next steps till the end of the sprint? Provide a granular report on task F.1. Update the task for status. We've changed the data model status to do in our band, and our automated test for adding a task must now be updated to verify the structure. Respond to your plan to okay. I don't know. So this is the issue, right? You get to this point in your software process where it's like, see, the thing is like, when we talk about vibe coding, most people think vibe coding is like, hey, well, can you add this little thing here? And oh, can you do this little thing here? And oh, wow, can you do that over there? But the thing is that is not the language of software programming. That's just the language of like what you think is like vibe coding. But the problem is that like the actual process of producing software is much more granular. It's much more challenging, and it's much more like you have to do some testing, you have to write up the tests, and you have to like I don't know, like look at this intent to update the add task E2E test in the tests task list.test.js to verify a newly created task correctly displays a status badge with the next to do plan. It's like, what? In the file, locate the test case defined with this. Within this test, after the step that adds a new task, locate the section that verifies the task present in the list. Add a new verification step specifically for the status badge. This new step will use this to target the status badge element with the newly created task item. The selector will be this, where this is a unique ID, and the task created during the test. This will function extract. What? All right. I have no idea what that's talking about. But I like how it actually has this new thing where like it's easier to copy and paste. Test? No. Trust the process. Now, I'm just going to sit here for the next 30 minutes and watch this testing software just work through whatever it is. I have no idea what it's going to be doing, really. I will not replace the add task function with the new, more robust version you provided. Okay. I think it should say view thinking, not show thinking. Okay, let's see what the plan looks like now. Implement status data model. Update the test for status. This should be updated. What happened? I don't even know what this means. Okay. What? We reverted the code base to a state it was in before we started trying to fix this issue. We started a new clean feature sprint. You logged the page so the cascade successfully completed the first task in the sprint. Right, so they actually pasted over yet? Yeah, you see, it's getting buggy. This guy's getting buggy. All right, so I think we need to move to free 5 because it's definitely getting buggy. The thing I'm glad about is that Cascade is catching it and it knows that there's an issue here. All right, so what we're gonna do is, should we give it one more chance? Because I wouldn't mind finishing the sprint first and then doing the update. Right. I don't know. Okay, so create a new explored function, find a target task within the task using this. Save the updated tasks local. Okay, global. Like, so what do I think that's happening? The thing that I think that's happening is that, so currently it did like add this thing to it. It added the ability for us to change. So it created these tasks, right? And it's clickable. And I think that what we wanted to do was I think we wanted to have a drop-down menu where you could change the task with a drop-down menu. And then within this drop-down menu, there's also going to be a plus sign because we also wanted to give it the ability to add different other kinds of statuses. And then after we build that, see, I don't think that it's executed the test suite. Anyways, we could always roll back if there's an issue. Yeah, so we're gonna have a drop-down menu where you can change the status, and then also there's gonna be a plus button. When you click the plus button, then a pop-up comes out, and you can add a status. So there's all this work that I wanted to be able to do. I kind of forgot because it's already been a couple days ago, and then there's all these issues, and then we had to restart the app twice, and then there's just been like all these things, and so then we get to the end of the week. It's Saturday night. It's like the last minutes before I take the dog out for a walk, and we close the computer. In fact, my computer, it's on the fritz. Like the ports are dead now. Like they stopped charging. Like if I move my computer, it will stop charging. Like it's like literally like it's like sitting on this thing, so it's like bending the wire in order to actually charge the computer. The screen, if I pull the screen forward, then the whole screen turns white. I'm getting like, this battery is telling me like it needs to. It's like it's recommending some battery updates. Service recommended. So, like it's literally like at the end of just this craziness. And once this is all fixed, I think everything can hopefully relax a little bit. I don't even know what it did. It's like, is it actually doing this? I have no idea what it's doing. It's like at some point it has to start working. It just seems like it's just planning and more planning. See, at this point, it's like it's gotten to the point where it just had so many problems that like it just realized that if you want to like fix something, if you want to use these AI coding agents, you literally have to like build things like so slow, one little thing at a time. And so now the main thing is like, does your AI understand the importance of breaking steps down to like the micro details? I really want to get this done this week. And the dog, he doesn't care. We used to always go running at like 11:30 at night. It's like only 11:10. So, but then I changed it to going running at 10:30 at night. I don't really like running at 10:30 at night. There's just like people everywhere. Yeah, I know what you want. You want to go for a run. Obviously. You're going to come over and stretch? Is that what you're going to do? And your friends are outside? He's got all these friends outside that he wants to hang out with. I think he's probably the most popular dog in the city. Gordon, would you say that you're the most popular dog in the city? What do you think? Are you the most popular? Yes? No? Yes? Are you? He doesn't know. He actually he has a son. This crazy dog has a son. I remember when it happened. And then I went over to go talk to these people. I said, yo, your female dog is like, I don't know what you guys are doing, but like, she's on the street. And you know what happens if your dog is on the street? And they're like, what? They're like, no, we already matched our dog up with a different dog. I think the reason they said this is because this is like a farming community. It's an animal husbandry and agricultural community, which means that animals and plants equal money. So when I say, I think my dog got your dog pregnant, like what they hear is like you're claiming ownership to the output of our female dog. And I was like, that's definitely not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I think your dog is pregnant. And they're like, yeah, we know he's pregnant because we took our dog to this other dog, and then this other dog got our dog pregnant. And I was like, okay, maybe the question is that really what you're saying? Anyways, I just took it as, it's just like, I don't even care. Like, why do I care? So anyways, they knew that their dog was pregnant, whatever that means. Then a short period of time later, there's a little baby dog running around that looks exactly like my dog with slightly longer hair, because the female dog was black and she was a little bit shorter, and then she had longer hair. But she was pretty cute. And then the new baby dog is like, it's like a little bit shorter. The body style is very, very similar. Very cute dog. And then it has the white chest exactly like my dog. And the most exciting thing started actually a couple days ago. Because before it was like a baby, like a little teeny tiny baby. It was kind of useless. But after like a couple of months, then the baby is like, now it's like running around. It wants to play. Like it's big enough that now it's like having fun. And in our neighborhood, there's a new dog that came to about 2.5 months ago. A new white dog just found somebody started feeding it on the corner. And so then at first it was really scared of everybody, but then slowly it's gotten to know my dog. So they become friends. And every night I bribe this dog. So I take a can, I put some dog food in it, and then sometimes I chop up some meat and I put it in there. And then we go downstairs. Because the thing is, when I take my dog for a walk, we go 4 kilometers every night. And I don't know, it's kind of boring for a dog to be with a human. But if a dog is with a dog, like, it's just like heaven. So anyway, so I bribed this dog. Like, slowly I trained him to realize that if he goes for a walk with us the whole way, you can't go home halfway. Then when we get back to the apartment, like, I leave the can above where he sleeps. So then we get back, then I open the can, give him the food, and he's like, his mind is blown. Meat, like cooked meat with spice, a little teeny bit of spice, and some dog food. And so then he was like testing. So some days he wouldn't come with us, and then I'd come back, I get back, and then he's like, okay, so where's the food? No, you're not getting no food. And then my dog would be like, like walking by, like, you didn't get the food. And then another time he would walk like halfway with us, but then he's a little dog, so he was starting to get attacked by other dogs. So the thing is that there's like, when you go from here 4 kilometers around my village, it's like a minefield. So the first thing is this corner, there's 2 dogs on this corner, and then next you're going to pass the convenience store, there's another 2 dogs, and then another couple blocks down there's another 2 dogs, and then eventually you get to the small little bridge, and then there's 3 more dogs there. Then you get to the store, there's 2 more dogs there. Then you start heading up the hill, and there's like 3 little dogs there. Then you get to the next apartment complex, there's like 3 more dogs there. Then you get up to like like where the stadium is, and then if you keep going up, then there's one dog that sometimes comes out, sometimes he doesn't. Then there's another dog, and then there's two more dogs there. Then you take a left. So at this point, we've gone 2 kilometers. We're only halfway. Then there's like a husky up there, and then we start going down. There's 2 more dogs in that yard, and then we get to the stadium where the water is, and then there's like 2 dogs there that start barking. They're so crazy. And then there's another dog there. Then we start heading down, and then on the way down, there's like 1 dog behind the fence. Then we pass the park. Once we get alongside the park, there's like 4 or 5 dogs next to the park. Then we get to the city center. There's another 3 dogs in the city center. And then we start heading back. And then there's 1 dog that sometimes my dog likes to bark at. And then we take a left, and then we're going down. There's another dog. Usually he's behind his fence. And then there's another dog behind in the garage. And then we're on the main street again. It's like, how many dogs is that? It was like 25 dogs. We literally passed 25 dogs. And so his little buddy was like afraid. And a couple of the dogs were attacking him when we were going around. But slowly, like the other dogs started to get used to him. And now he can make it all the way around and then come back and get his treat. So he's like pretty much used to it now. He like lives here. Now my Gordy-Gords, his son is on the main street, and that dog is now like friendly enough to now start like trying to get food from people. And he even like came all the way over to our apartment. So then now Gordon's son is playing with so this 1 dog is like at nighttime, it comes running with us. And then during the day, it plays with his son. Yeah, and then I started getting to know his little son. So at first he was really scared of me, and then finally I picked him up. It's like picking up your grandchild. Pick this little guy up. I picked this guy up off the ground 2 years ago. He was a little baby. He was like this big, and now he's got his own little baby. We had a little chat the other night about this situation. And I was thinking, you're 14 years old and you already have a son, probably more than one, because there's probably, I don't know where all his brothers and sisters went off to, but there's at least one that's still there. It's interesting. Great. Now we're going to have a problem. Anyways, you can see how this, we're still going. We're still going. Last time I recorded a live video this long, it looks like that I'm doing it, but then what actually happened was that the video was short. So I don't know if YouTube will actually allow me to post a video this long. I don't know if it's still working or not. But anyways, the point is that I'm trying to get through this task because on Monday, I'm going to get my computer back, and we're going to start the next task. which will be to update the calibration docs. Yeah, I mean, I got to show you what it actually looks like with the update to the calibration docs, because we're going to start free 5, and hopefully it'll be a success. Now, after we finish free 5, then we're going to continue working. I don't know. So the thing is that I also need to create the home page, the pricing page, the blog page. I need to start with the home page and the pricing page. But I think that, I was supposed to build the homepage this week, but I just decided that this task list issue was important enough that I thought maybe we're not going to do the homepage yet. We need to do this task list first. This task list is not necessarily the most useful thing right now. And when we talk about the homepage, see, the homepage, it's going to be like a sales page to some extent. It's going to introduce the philosophy, so you can see that, like, you need ideas, you need to decide, find objectives. So we need to start to like hone in on like exactly what the homepage is going to look like, the ideology behind this piece of software. What the heck is going on? Must have been a problem. What happened? Okay, so they ran these arguments, and then see, it's like I'm losing some functionality with this. It's just too much. Oh, I shouldn't have done it like this. Anyways, let's see what happens. Because it actually like changed the plan. It went back and changed the plan. It's like Fritzy. It's like, huh. Here it is. The doom loop. This is the doom loop. This is like, I literally sat here for 4 hours just watching this screen. This is what it looked like. process is being blocked. The port should be free. I'll now execute the test suite again. Verified all tests are expected. The test suite failed. This is the beauty. Now check this out. So if you don't have testing software, if you don't program automated tests, then what happens is your AI is going to start to freak out. So Gemini is going to be like, yeah, we tried, and then we tried again, and then we tried again, and then you start to get frustrated, and then you're like, well, I don't know, should we roll back, go to the very beginning, like, how do we do this? And then you're just like, you start asking, you try to figure out what's the magic question, what's like, how do I get Gemini to create the right prompt, and like, how do I get Cascade to figure out how to solve this issue, and like eventually you'll just go crazy because it just won't work. And so you have to understand how to eventually write these automated tests. And after it writes the automated test, then it's going to be like, okay, so the HTML for add test model reveals the problem. The add test button does not have an ID at all. Instead, has an one-click add task attribute. This is failing because it's searching for a button with an ID like this, which doesn't exist. To fix this, I'll modify the test script to click the correct button. Since the button lacks the unique selector, I'll use the more general selector for the model success button. And then it's going to do this, and then failed. The test suite's failed again. This test passes, but the new is failing. It's a very strange error. Test is failing because it believes that the initial state of the task is to do, even though the error message itself shows that the task, in fact, to do. This suggests a subtle issue, possibly the hidden characters or a type mismatch that isn't immediately obvious. To get to the bottom of this, I will add the detailed lodging in the test script. I need to inspect the exact properties of the string being resumed, blah, 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 blah. All right, let's do this next one. I've read the latest version of this. The test is failing in a peculiar way. It's indicating a subtle data mismatch. To diagnose this, I'll add a detailed lodging function, inspect the exact properties of the batch text being returned from the browser. I will modify the test to log the text, blah, 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 blah. The debugging logging has been added to this. I'll execute the test suite again. Then what? The test suite failed. The test has failed again, and my previous debugging logs did not appear to the output. This is a critical clue. It means that the test is failing before the logging statements are executed, despite the logs being placed in the right place before. If condition that this will only mean one thing, the batch info object, which is being passed to this in the failed image, is not the same object. Okay, what's the song? Dun, 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 dun. Common. So I think it's called Common. I think the song is called One. So the issue right now is that when I read, I sound like an idiot. Like, it just sounds so boring. So now if you want to do a lot of reading, but the reading is like terribly boring, then what you have to do is you got to go into your YouTube and you got to go Common One. Boom, boom, boom. Testify. Yeah, it's a good one. Go. On the count of three. Fantasy. Okay, what album is this? It's Kanye West. Hmm. There it is. The corner. There we go. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, it's too fast. Let's start it slower. Sometimes it takes a while to get to the reading. I have reviewed the current state of the application code and I'm ready to integrate the delete functionality. I will implement a robust just-in-time event, listen to pattern to print the race conditions of timeout error that you encountered previously. Error. My previous attempt to edit failed because the file's content has changed, preventing the tool from finding exact match for the code I was trying to replace. This is the common issue that was working with the files being actively modified. And to recover the process, I'll try to get a more precise approach. I'll make two small targeted changes. I'll replace only the line in the text template that calls the delete function. I will add the new function at the end of the file just before the final event listener. This should be more resilient to minor changes in the file. I will first read. I've read the latest version of this and see that this function is already set up to call this function. This is an excellent means that I only need to add the function definition itself. I will now add the function to the function. We'll use the robust just-in-time event, listening to pattern patterns, preventing the race condition and timeout errors we've seen before. I'll add the new function just before the event listener block. Function been successfully added to completing the application side logic with the delete feature. Now I need to simplify the corresponding end-to-end test. The current test contains complex code to manually manage the delete modal, which is no longer necessary. I will update the test to reflect the new simpler application flow. It will click the delete button, click the button, verify the result for solve, read the test to get the latest content. I have the latest version of, and I'm ready to simplify the function. The current implementation uses complex manipulation and manipulation to orchestrate the delete module, which is no longer necessary now that the application's own delete logic is robust. I'll replace the entire function with a much simpler version that simulates successfully refactored. And so just all this crazy stuff. And then now, okay, test suite failed. We got the loop. Now let's turn up the speed just a teensy tiny bit. All right. Round 2. Ooh. It's too fast. And the focus to fold. I can't understand this. He's telling stories about his life, and it's like, I have no idea what language that is. And the Cottage Grove. Black hot stove. I have no idea what he's talking about. I wish I could give this feeling. I prefer this language. I run the full test suite one last time. This final verification will confirm the add task, cycling, delete test features are all stable, working as expected. I will now execute the test suite. Twist suite failed. This is frustrating, classic Heisenberg, a bug that changes the behavior when you what? When you try to observe it. The diagnostic log I added were likely introducing a minuscule delay, which was just enough to prevent a race condition and allow the test to pass. Now that the logs are gone, the underlying timing issue has resurfaced. The problem is that the command is likely being executed before the Bootstrap module is fully initialized and ready to be displayed in the test environment. To fix this properly, I'll introduce a more robust solution than the incidental delay from logging. I will wrap the call in a set timeout with a 0 millisecond delay. This is the standard technique to push a command to the end of the JavaScript equivalent queue, which gives the browser a moment to finish any pending initialization before attempting to show the model. The model? The modal? Probably the modal. Applied a more robust fix for the recurring Heisenberg by wrapping the call in a 0-day set. This standard technique ensures that the command to show the model is executed only after the browser has finished any pending UI updates, which should be permanently resolve the race condition. To confirm that this solution is effective, I will run the full test suite one more time. Test suite failed. Gordon, the test suite failed again. Can you believe it? Gordon's like, I can't believe that we're not going outside because I want my chicken. I want my chicken. Cody Good wants his chicken. Where's my chicken? This very stubborn Heisenberg with the active observing the system with logs changes behavior. What? Since direct application logic proving underlines that the test runner will return to a more forcible direct deal or manipulation strategy within the test itself, this pragmatic solution to get a stable passing test suite, even if it's less elegant. Revert, update. This hybrid approach tests the essential application logic, the event handler, and the deletion function while bypassing the unreliable model presentation mechanism in the test environment. First, I will revert to change in the averted the change and removing this set did not resolve the issue. Now inform the second part of our plan modifying this function. Okay. See, it's just like, I don't know, whatever. It's like, it just does it. Does its thing. I don't even know what to say. It's a lot of music. I haven't listened to music for a long time. Okay, I gotta turn that off. It's too much. It's too loud. Volume. Okay. Okay, that's good. That's enough. That loud music. See, I'm starting to slow down now. Starting to slow down. It's almost midnight. We got a failed test suite. So my experience, so what were we talking about at the beginning of the video? This is exactly what happened last night. And I was just sitting here for like 4 hours But the thing is, Gordon wasn't bothering me last night because we already went for a walk. He already had his dinner. He fell asleep. But now he's like, hey, when are we going outside? Because I want my chicken. I want my dog food. I want my chicken. I want to hang out with my friends. It's time. So Gordon thinks it's time. Now, what I could do is basically I could just wait for the next continue, because when it says continue the next time, that's going to give me like another 10 minutes. And then we can go for the run, probably take about 30 minutes, run around the block. And then when we get back, it'll just wait. It'll just say, like, do you want to continue? So then I'll click continue again. And then after I click continue again, then I'll start feeding the dog, get everything going, and then figure out what's going to happen tomorrow morning. And then intermittently check this little thing out, check out this screen. And then eventually at some point, we're going to get to the end of these last 2 steps of the sprint, and then we're gonna be done with the sprint, and then what? Most likely, like, we haven't even started doing the debugging yet, because the thing is that, like, I wonder what happens if I do this. Yeah, I didn't think so. Exactly. That was my expectation, actually, because it's been doing it's been. In fact, I already know, because it said it's running the changes on a different server. Anyways, now you get a feeling of this is an extremely persistent, frustrating bug to failure. Tick, 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 tick. Anyways, this is the whole point of having automated testing, because once you have your automated testing, I thought it was going to be really, really expensive for like the tokens, but it's actually not that expensive with the tokens. It seems as though it counts. You click continue one time, and like clicking continue is actually a token. And then it does all this work for like basically for like 20 or 30 minutes. And then you click continue, and then it's one token. At least that's my understanding, because remember, we came back and we checked our tokens this morning, and it was still like within 100 tokens. But I'm sure that I've used more than, like, how many times have I pasted a prompt? Like at least 40, 50, 60. And then I don't know. So see, there we go. So there we go. We're gonna click continue. I'm gonna go take the dog for a run. When we get back, it's gonna have another continue that's gonna be waiting for me. And then I'm gonna get everything else going on in the house, and then it's either gonna be fixed or it's gonna say continue again. Either way, I'm done with this video. That's the end of the week. Let's keep on going, learning how to use AI with Blaine here on Space Between Ideas. What's up?